While even high earners are living paycheck to paycheck.
For many Americans, work can feel like a hamster wheel. No matter how hard they run, it never feels like enough. Americans, on average, say they would need $520,000 a year to feel rich. And
where are you getting that? Where are you getting that poll or statistic? $520,000 a year to feel rich? That's just not true. Chat, how much would you need to make a year to feel rich? I think well off and rich are two different things. I think people would probably feel well off at like $100K a year. If you're like a family man, I feel like rich people like 200K. If you're making like 200K a year, you could shelter a lot of that money very rapidly. Like you could keep your expenses down, probably spend 50, 60 a year, and then just like post-tax pocket 100 and whatever.
the more people earn, the more they say they need to feel comfortable. Americans making
Well, yeah, the more you make, the more you spend. But I think that's stupid if you poll somebody that's making $250,000 a year and they're like, yeah, man, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. It's because you're renting an apartment that's $10,000 a month. You dumbass, right? Like there's a difference between making $250,000 a year and just like living like you make. If you make that much money, you're not rich yet, but you're rich in salary, right? That's the difference. You're making enough money to where, number one, you're not going to be in financial worry. And number two, you have enough money that if you spend frugally and save for like 15 years, you could retire.
Americans making under $50,000 felt they needed $157,000 a year to feel comfortable. Those making
See, that doesn't okay. If you poll the average American earning under 50K, for them to say they need 157 to feel comfortable, I don't think that's that absurd. Because, no, listen, the average American making under 50K, probably in debt, probably owes money on their car, on a house, on their student loans, and they might have kids. I get that. If you're like a single parent with 2 kids, you being like, I need 100K, like I'm in debt, right? That's not absurd because then you could pay it off quicker and you wouldn't be in financial worry.
$100,000 or more said they would need $246,000.
When I was in middle school, a song came out called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And I think that that's true.
No. No. I think this is coming from somebody, I make good money, right? The problems that I have that occur are because my job gets more complicated the more money I make. But the more money I make, I don't incur more financial problems. You have less financial problems. You have less of a worry. Like, if she's making crazy money and she's like, yeah, I think that's totally true. Like, you're just cranking up your monthly expenses to an absurd amount that you shouldn't be paying.
Problems scale.
Your nuts too high.
You still are dealing with a finite number every month. Your worries, your anxiety.
It's too much.
Your budget scales to
Nut? Yeah, this is a South Park reference. The monthly nut. How much money you need.
that. You still are dealing with a ceiling.
About 14% of all U.S. households make $200,000 or more every year.
Okay.
But many of
That could be dual income though from 2 people.
every year. But many of them, dubbed Henrys or high earners, not rich yet, still don't feel rich. 62% of people with salaries over $300,000 a year struggle with credit card debt.
What? 60? Okay, bro. These people are fucking idiots. I'm sorry. I'm actually about to start crashing out. If you make over 300K a year, how are you struggling to pay off your credit card debt? Are you fucking kidding me? What are you buying? What are you buying? That you're like, damn, man, I gotta fucking Klarna this. Could I segment this Uber Eats order? Brother, you make almost $500,000 a year.
Earning doesn't actually make you feel rich, spending it does. If most people spent 99% of their paycheck, they'd feel quite rich. And it's the paradox here, when we're in accumulation mode, it's very difficult to feel rich.
It can be pretty easy for someone to feel like I'm making really good money, but I don't have a lot of discretionary income.
Earning more and feeling like you're still on a hamster wheel is what a lot of Henrys experience. And that's because...
because they upgrade. Stay in the shit-ass apartment that leaks from the ceiling. Lock in the fucking rat race for 10 years and you're goated. Say you make crazy money out of college. Let's say you're somehow making fucking 80K right out of college. You get a pay bump. 8 years into your career, you're making fucking 250K and you're in your early 30s. The reason your nuts going too high is because you're fucking going, oh, let me get like a 3-bedroom apartment. Oh, let me own 2 cars. Because now you're paying that.
They're not living within their means. They may have
Nothing I say here is financial advice.
been living above their means when they weren't nearly making as much money, and now they're just continuing to add more and more and more.
I earn
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you see of stupid rich people is they finance shit, use it, sell it before they've paid it off, and then do the repeat of the next thing. So they're constantly just losing money because the resale value of the product they bought is so much less than what they got it for. And then they use the resale to pay off the majority of the debt that they've accrued or whatever they owe on the product left. But then they're ending up paying way more, selling it for way less, making way less, not really getting much out of it, and then buying another thing. Like, rich people, I'm not saying rich people. If you're making like $250,000 a year and you buy a car and you have that car for 3 years and you're financing it, and you still have 3 years left to pay on it, and then you sell it, pay off the financing, and buy another car immediately after, like, that's where you're fucking yourself. Because then you're just now you're just like constantly just burning cash for the sole purpose of being perceived as wealthy.
$300,000 and I live in New York City. I definitely don't feel rich. I feel very.
How much does she make?
I earn $300,000 and I live in New York City.
Single, if she's a parent, if she's single and alone in an apartment, $300K. I know New York's expensive, bro, but $300K a year?
I definitely don't feel rich. I feel very lucky. I feel privileged, but I do not feel rich. I could not stop working right now. I have more money anxiety almost now.
But not being able, okay, I don't think the definition of rich is being able to retire. You know what I mean? If you're perceiving rich as retirement, that's where the argument just fucking loses ground. It's like, you could be rich, but still need to work for another 10, 15, 20 years before you can retire. But you're just making rich people money.
Now than I ever did in my 20s. I am on a hamster wheel and there's no question about it.
Rich is comfortable? No, I think rich is a little bit more than comfortable. Like, I think comfortable is you can pay your bills. You're not worried about, any financial ruin. I think that's comfortable is like 100 a year. If you're making 100K a year, you could get in a car crash or break your arm or have to go to the hospital and not literally be like, average Americans today will purposefully not go to get health help because they know they can't pay for it. That's why rich people live longer, because they will just go get help. If you have a fucking health problem, like people in their 20s and 30s will be like, I'm just not going to go get help until it's too bad to where they're like actually needing to get fucking surgery or they're going to die. Like they'll just be like, I'm not going to go. It'll be fine. I'm going to give it 3 weeks. 100K is not that much anymore, which is crazy. I think 100K is a very good salary. I don't think you're in financial worry at 100K. I wouldn't say you're rich anymore. I think in the early 2000s, if you made 100K, you were fucking rich. But now, like, if you live in New York City and you make 100K a year, I could understand you being like, I'm not banking much money after taxes.
Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others. Many Henrys are cash rich and asset poor. So they're typically people under 40. They don't have childcare hours available. They're first-time home buyers in the housing market. They're paying off student loans early, hopefully. And their income usually hasn't hit a career peak. So they're very much in that not rich yet bucket, but they very well could be in the future.
Oh, I 100% feel like a Henry.
Marian Contreras was a professional composer, band leader, and pianist who started her virtual assistant business in 2016.
That year, I started to grow slowly, and I was suddenly earning more money than I had ever earned in my life. And I think the number was something like $35,000 by the end of the year. And I went, wow, this is really great. I can grow this.
She then expanded into a digital marketing consulting agency during the pandemic.
For the calendar year of 2025, we're just on.
I don't want to judge, but she's saying more money than she's ever seen in her entire life. And she said $35,000, which is basically the average American income. So how do you go from that to making $300 and then just skew your financials to the point where you're still living paycheck to paycheck? I think it's different if you're like born rich and then you get out of it. Like people that are born into really wealthy families perceive a good salary much higher than other people. But if you're born poor or middle income and then make a lot of money, you're usually more financially responsible with that money.
Track to make 1.4
Or not even necessarily financially responsible. You understand the gravity of the money that you make.
million. We're hoping to get to 1.5 or possibly even 1.6. I'm anticipating my owner's draw to be anywhere between 300,000 and 400,000.
What did she say?
I'm anticipating my owner's draw to be anywhere between 300,000 and 400,000. Had a pretty successful career as a musician through most of my 20s. The thing they don't tell you about having a career as a musician in music school is that you can be playing Carnegie Hall, which I was, and I was making $15,000 a year. And I
mean, that's the arts. Outside of like music production to where like you're actually selling, like you're selling music and you make albums. If you're like a dancer or an artist or in plays, acting, like you could be getting good fucking roles performing live and just make nothing.
And realize how much freedom money affords you now that I see the kind of freedom that
Same thing with real estate agents. I'm not trying to shit on real estate agents right now, but if you're a real estate agent, you're either really successful or like dead broke. You know how many people have real estate agent licenses and make nothing? There's got to be statistics on that. 3 million people are licensed realtors in the United States. That's like 1% of people in the US. That's so stupid. Why? How many? But I think out of that, it's like only a fraction of them make money. Like most real estate agents have never sold a home.
Somebody who earns what I do or even more has, that's my goal. That is absolutely what gets me out of bed in the morning.
A lot of the high earners, not rich yet, they're first generation wealth. So they still take their wealth into perspective against their family members or others in their community, and they realize how well they're doing. So they don't take it for granted. But I think what makes them feel
Then why aren't they saving it?
not rich is we were told once you make 6 figures, all of your problems will go away. You'll just have so much excess. And I think we know that narrative is not true anymore.
I would have thought back then that
I think $250,000 is excess. I think more excess depending on where you live. Like if you're in like Utah or fucking Texas versus LA or Atlanta or, you know, New York City. But you're still going to be making crazy amounts of money to put aside.
the amount of money that I have in the bank right now, I would be rich. I would have just thought, oh yeah, she's made it, and I don't feel that way. I know that I am on a hamster wheel with my business. I actually really love the hamster wheel. I love what I do, but I also realize that I can't stop.
So Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others. They work very hard for their money, but they also spend a lot more than the average.
You know, they spend a lot more. You know what it really is because the more money you make, the more you get introduced to people that make way more than you fucking make. And I make really good money, and I've never said that I don't make good money and never thought that I don't make good money. And I'm rich, right? I'm not trying to brag. I'm saying like I make enough money to where like I don't have financial issues. But what I will say is once you start making more money, you get introduced to people that tower you, right? If you ever get to a point where you're making $250,000 a year, you're going to start to know people that make $1 million a year, and they're fucking $1 million a year versus $250,000 a year, 2 different ball games, bro, right? Like that guy, $1 million a year is like funny money, right? Not funny money to the point where you're like Aiden Ross or XQC and you could just buy a private jet. But, like, you're making enough money to where, like, you tower over the average person financially.
Average person.
In a lot of ways, Henrys may be victims of their zip codes.
$100,000 in LA is definitely very different than $100,000 in Iowa. Someone make
I mean, yeah, that's why the fucking minimum wage is a lot different too, depending on the states that you're going in, cost of living, shit like that. Yeah, I think another big thing is, and I say this of people all the time, a lot of streamers, I guess, in this business that make good money act like they're broke. Number one, because I think they farm donos. And they fucking move to the LA Hills and rent a mansion. If you make good money on social media and you're fucking 26, why is your dumbass moving to fucking LA and renting a mansion for fucking $15K a month that you and your girlfriend live in. What are you doing? Like, I'm not, obviously, yeah, splurge a little, man. You're making good money. You own 5 cars. What are you doing? And then they fall off and they go, I'm fucking broke, man. Yeah.
Makes $200,000 a year in LA. You're gonna probably take home 140-ish. Rent for a 1-bedroom is gonna be at least $3,000. 40-ish. Rent for a 1-bedroom is gonna be at least $3,000. Their car payment's gonna be $700. Car insurance is gonna be maybe $200 a month. Gas is gonna be $200 a month. If you were to annualize that, that's $50,000 right there. The remainder,
$50,000 right there. But I don't want to say, like, if you're making $140K a year, do you really think you're going to have a $700 a month car payment financing? Like, if you make that amount of money, I feel like you would buy a used car, put down a crazy amount of money on it, and then finance it and, like, pay it off in 3 years. $700 a month payment on a car, you make $140K a year? Like, obviously you're not going to buy it outright, but you're not going to be financing that car for fucking 6 years.
is for all the other things. We haven't eaten yet. We haven't purchased groceries.
I just think it's like when you finance like that, the problem is you just pay off so much more than you're actually supposed to be paying if you pay it more incrementally. Like, a lot of people are like, I'd rather hold on to that money, invest it, and make more. But unless you're able to outmatch that you would owe in interest, it doesn't make sense. Because say you're making, like, say your car's $50K, just as a blanketed thing. Most cars aren't $50,000, but say you're making $50K and you're going to finance that car for like 6 years and you just pay it off in the monthly payments, you might end up owing like $65K on that car.
We haven't paid for subscriptions to Amazon and Netflix. We haven't gone on vacation yet. We haven't purchased clothes yet. It can whittle away your discretionary income if you're living in an area that has a high cost of living.
Because they be splurging, bitch! I own the same tank top I got on Amazon 3 years ago! It fucking sags! Look at it, it's torn up. I don't care. I've been contemplating getting another pack soon, bro.
When my business started
God.
to grow,
Brooke forces me to buy more clothes.
one of the first things that I started spending more money on right away was food, because I don't have time to cook.
That's facts. Ooh, don't have time to cook.
I had more money than time, and so I started eating Grubhub 3 meals a day most days. After that, it became rent.
Well, see, no, that's a problem. I think you spend more money on food for sure. I buy fresh produce more. I still shop at Walmart. But you best believe I'm buying 3 cases of blueberries, bitch. Every week. 3 cases. Boom, boom, boom. It's already fucking $40. You know, you're cranking that out. Huge ones, too. I'm buying those fucking, the pounds.
Because I hit $1 million a year in revenue, and I said, that's it, I'm moving to Manhattan. And so my rent doubled, and I suddenly was paying $4,000 in rent. What is very worth it to me is to live where I want to live. I was proud that I could live here. For about a year, I would...
Bro, but don't you think you would be crashing out paying $48,000 a month in rent? Or not a month, a year in rent? I feel like I'd be sitting there going, like, I'm just setting this on fire. Like, at that point, I would, if I was spending that much on rent to live in, like, a 1-bedroom, maybe 2-bedroom apartment, I feel like at that point, like, you should just, like, down pay a house.
Walk outside my apartment and just, like, look around and just be like, oh my gosh, here I am. So that was lifestyle creep for me.
Lifestyle creep is the common phenomenon of spending a little more money as you earn more. It can happen to anyone at any income.
Lifestyle creep can really...
I'd be tipping more. That's what it is. I'd be tipping more. I'll be getting food more. I eat out a lot. I'll eat out a lot, and I'll be like, when I was in Missouri, like, I was tipping people like 35%. Whenever I'm on a business trip, I'm like, hey, I'm making money. $30 order, here's fucking like $20, bro. I just walk out.
Sneak up on you. You start earning more, and then you just...
But because it makes me feel good, too. You know what I mean?
decide, well, I can buy more things. I need a second car. I need a bigger home. I need to go on this European vacation. I deserve this European vacation because I work hard for my money. The problem is if you're not continuing to increase your savings at the same time, you are putting your financial future in jeopardy.
That shift happens everywhere in our lives, from the small purchases to the really big ones. Cars, houses, vacation, and most of these expenses are fixed.
Lifestyle creep impacts almost all tax brackets, but it can take different forms. necessities. One 2024 study found that when low and middle income households were given an additional $1,000, no strings attached, every month, their spending increased primarily on basic necessities, such as food, transportation, and rent. However,
if it is a steady increase of income, does anybody remember when the stimmy checks hit? Stimulus checks from COVID? This is coming from somebody that, obviously is in New Jersey, so it's different. But a lot of those stimulus checks were blown in Atlantic City. Like, you could ask Brooke about that back when she had to work there. Like, the amount of people that entered the casino was absurd. To gamble, to buy food, spend money, right? Like, it was just, they saw it as more like a gift money that they're just going to go and blow on other shit rather than something they're going to use. What is a stimulus check? During COVID, it was like, because jobs were fucked and people had higher expenses, everything cost more because the whole like product line got all fucked up. The government was basically giving people that needed money. It was for like expenses and stuff. And a lot of people did do it on that. But a lot of people were just like, hey, thanks for the $1,000. I'm going to go blow it in Atlantic City in one night.
when higher income households were given the same $1,000, they increased spending on both necessities as well as discretionary expenses, like Marie did.
I spend more on my hair. I spend more on makeup. I get my lashes done. I get my nails done. I think it's just something that comes with the territory.
I don't know anything I spend more money on. Bro, I just like buy people drink. I don't care. Like, that's really what it is. If I go out, like every time I go out to a bar, I'm buying people a round of shots. Like, I'll buy my friends drinks. I'll pay for the Uber, and I won't really press you for the cash. I want you to pay me for the Uber, not for the drinks. But if they don't pay me, I'm not gonna bitch at them. I'm not gonna say it's $20. If they mention it, then I'll be like, yeah, it was this much.
Birds of a feather.
And then like vlog trips. That's what it'll be. Like vacations. Yeah, I'll spend more money on vacations. Like, I'd rather, ooh, you know what it is? I travel Main Plus now. When I fly, if I'm buying the ticket and it's not paid for me by a company, I'll travel Main Plus. Not first class, because that's too much money and I can't reason that amount of money. But I'll travel Main Plus, where I get a free checked bag and I get like 6 inches more of leg room. And it's way better traveling. And maybe like free drinks.
Tend to flock
on the flight
together, and their spending tends to be more,
because it's like, it's another, say you're flying like a 4-hour flight, it's probably another like $200, but I'm getting a free $50 check bag, so now it's really only $150 more. Actually only $100 more, because it's $200 more for the ticket, but I'm getting 2 free check bags, one there, one back, and I'm getting better leg room.
If you make about $85,000, your friends probably also make about $85,000. So you're doing similar activities in the same economic bracket. Once you have friends that are making $200,000-$300,000 a year, your activities will change. The restaurants that you will eat at will differ and change. They're going to probably be a little bit more elevated. Your vacations are going to be more elevated. Your clothing is going to be more elevated. It's not necessarily spending irresponsibly, but they're spending.
All of your spending has increased by 20% just because you buy higher quality goods.
Aligned with their friend group and their community. That's why a lot of them oftentimes don't feel rich, because they're spending along with their friends.
Well, that's what I was saying, perspective. Like, if you're in a work environment where you're making $300K, all your work friends probably make as much, if not more than you, and then immediately you just feel broke.
Emotions are tied so tightly to what we do with our money. It happens to everyone. You get a raise, you're feeling great, you deserve to go out to dinner. In fact, you deserve to book that cruise. But the reality is that money was supposed to be earmarked for a bump up in your retirement savings, or money that you were going to put toward your child's education, or maybe you don't have an emergency fund, or at least not an adequate one, and the money should have gone there. When we allow ourselves to let our emotions overtake what we're doing with our money, we lose sight sometimes of what our goals are and how we have planned to meet them.
Henry will sometimes look to the mega millionaires or the billionaires and wish that they had more, but it's really just that upwards comparison for more.
Who the fuck is looking at a billionaire and going, I need that. I'm not making good money right now. I'm not making good money right now. If only I had Elon Musk money.
That keeps them stuck. More will never.
Me, I've never wanted that amount of wealth. I think most people want, like, if you were gonna spawn any amount of money anybody could make yearly to an individual that would make them happy, I think like $1 million a year. I'm saying not like the minimum. I'm saying $1 million a year is like all you would need. you know, to do anything you want. If you have $1 million a year for your whole life, you could buy any car you want, go anywhere you want. You don't need to buy a mega yacht. You could charter one for a month. Like, you could go do stuff. You would be blowing that money. But, like, there's why would you need fucking a $500 million mega yacht? Like, that's just stupid.
Be enough.
Most people that are like, if I won the it's like, hey, if I won the lottery, I'd do this. Most of the things they describe that they would do, you could do making $1 million a year for like 15 years.
At a certain point, and you have to decide what you have is ultimately enough and start appreciating all that you do have instead of fixating on all that you don't.
Experts say the best way for Henrys to start to feel rich and to get off the hamster wheel is by budgeting.
Is by buying homes and then raising the rent during holidays. So you go and you see, no, the best way you get off this hamster wheel is you're gonna make a shitload of money. You're gonna start investing into low income areas, and you're just gonna you just skyrocket rent to the fucking roof.
And planning for the future.
You can't really
Become a loan shark. Get into private equity.
figure out if you're rich yet unless
Start giving out $10,000 to people, but require them to pay you double the next week.
you know where you stand right now and where you want to go. You need to know your net worth. Doesn't matter how much money you have. It's not just for rich people. You have a net worth. What you own minus what you owe is your net worth. Everyone has one. Yours may be negative at this point, but you have to figure how to turn that around. Once you know your net worth, then you can start to build on what are your goals? What do I want to have in terms of my retirement
I don't think you need to know your net worth to know your financial goals.
savings, in terms of savings for college if you have children, in terms of emergency savings in case anything happens, how secure will I be? Once you have significant emergency savings, enough to cover, say, 6 months of your expenses or more, you're going to start to feel rich. Surveys have shown that financial well-being is tied closely to emergency savings. And so if you know that you're not going to have to whip out a credit card, that you're going to be able to pay for the roof that needs to be fixed or the car.
You know what determines whether or not you're making good fucking money? Is if you don't look at the paycheck before you hand them your credit card. I think that is like the definitive. And it like for anybody, if you don't need to look at how much something costs before you pay for it, you're making really good. Like, you're fine, right? Now, and I'm not talking like a flex on a date where you're just like, I got it. I'm saying like anytime you're out at a grocery store buying something, yeah, here's the card. You don't even like, your eyes glaze over when they're like, it costs this much.
Car that breaks down, you're going to feel rich.
I think wealth is often an emotional feeling. It's a mindset to feel truly secure and not to have to worry about finances at all. Feeling rich, it can feel much more about the bottom line and the dollar amount. So one is more about the tangible number in your bank account, and the other more is a feeling. Most people aspire to reach a level of wealth where they don't have to stress or worry about their finances or even about the future generations, to know that there's a cushion there.
One of the things I focus on with my clients is a budget should be a representation of your values. The issue is you can't value everything. You have to prioritize it. And when people see the hard numbers of what they're spending on a monthly or annualized basis, and they see, oh my gosh, I'm spending $5,000 a year eating out, I will ask the question, are you enjoying those meals at $5,000? Is it bringing you that much excitement and that much joy? And most people will
Yeah, those Chipotle burritos are fucking banging. I can tell you that. Can't live without them.
say, no, Camila, it's not. The food is okay. I'm doing it to be social. Well, we'll talk about other ways that you can be social without spending $5,000 a year eating out.
Oh my God. Other ways you could be social without spending $5,000 a year eating out. What is she going to give me? What social event can you go to that doesn't cost money? None. You going to go hang out at the park? You going to post up at the park? A fair? Fair costs money. What the fuck are you talking about? County fair? Where are you going to play no games, eat no food, go on no rides? You're just going to walk around and stare at the Ferris wheel with the lights and go, everything in your life costs money. There's nothing that you could do in your life that doesn't cost money. That's a social setting. Like a public area, that's not shit. The lake costs money. Anywhere you go that's like a fucking kept area, like a beach or a lake or somewhere like that, where they're like upkeeping it and getting rid of trash and providing like porta potties or whatever. They're going to charge you.
You can't buy clothes consistently, travel consistently, eat out consistently. You have to pick maybe one or two things where you're going to focus your discretionary spending and then take that extra and reroute that to savings so you can start feeling rich.
Spending gives us immediate dopamine fix, and seeing wealth in an account with numbers and commas often can be far more satisfying, though we don't realize it in the moment. It's almost like the difference between
The McDonald's play place? Yeah, covered in shit and fucking diseases.
an exciting, yet very toxic relationship versus a secure and stable long-term partner. I think the feeling of safety and the feeling that you can weather this long-term financial storm is far more satisfying, and we have to train ourselves to value that safety over the quick fix of a fancy car or a shiny new watch.
My advice for somebody who's on the hamster wheel is understanding the trade-off. I could get off the hamster wheel at any time, and I know that. And I know that my circumstances may change. For right now, this is the answer for me. My advice to somebody who's feeling that anxiety is understand that this is a choice. There are trade-offs. What I have learned is that I have been very burnt out and exhausted as a person who doesn't earn a lot of money, and I have been burned out and exhausted as a person.
Oh my God, I thought she was saying she doesn't make a lot of money.
Who does earn a lot of money, and I would take being a person who's burned out and exhausted and has money any day of the week. I would rather do that than be burned out and tired and also worrying about my bills.
Am I supposed to feel bad for this person making $300K a year with a business that makes $1.5 million because she doesn't have self-control and discipline and uses her money sensibly? I earned a fraction of that, and I've done this in 10 years of my career living in New York City and now London, and I've saved the majority of my income, live very comfortable, and a good amount of savings. I'm sure my net worth is much smaller than this person's, yet she complains about not having enough people these days. Even the most expensive cities live paycheck to paycheck. You look at your spending, not the system. Yeah. $300K in any city in the United States, you have enough money to save money. I don't understand what her monthly expenses are. Even if she's spending, she said she spends $48K a year on rent. She's probably paying in New York, what? Probably $100K on taxes, maybe a little bit more depending on her expenses. But yeah, you have high state tax, you have high federal tax. But even then, like, you're pulling in probably $150K unrealized, say $20K in fucking food bills and some other shit for, like, you know, electricity, water. Even then, you have a solid $80 to $100K that you could be putting away that you're just like blowing. I gotta piss again, then we're hopping into the next video.